Welcome to BSW. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Barney.
And I'm W here. Simon in the house.
Right now, we will have Avart on the Parsha by W.
Hello, W here. I'm thrilled that you're coming back to watch our show. I'm happy to be here. Barmy is here. In the spirit of Reb Shlomo, because this week we're talking about Reb Shlomo Zechis Alayni. I heard a story yesterday from Reb Sammy. He's going to be here and he's going to tell you what he was, who he was, and how he was connected to Reb Shlomo. He tells me a story that he, one night after a concert at 2 a.m., in his words, Reb Shlomo's words, after 2 a.m., the real people are out. After 2 a.m. Now, they went into a Chinese food restaurant to buy some food. Reb Shlomo noticed a heilige homeless guy who stole something from the store. He was really hungry after 3 days not eating. So the owner of the restaurant came and he kicked him really hard, and he was basically, claiming what is his. He stole from him. Reb Shlomo took his whole order, put it on the table, and told Sammy was with him. He said, "This food cannot be kosher." It's a big question. There's a truth here. This guy owns the place. This guy stole. But Reb Shlomo explained to him that there's two truths here. One truth is that this guy owns the food. You have to pay. The second truth is that this guy's hungry after 3 days. So he went over to this heilige guy who stole the stuff and he said to him, "If you're hungry and you need food, never steal. If you're really hungry and you still don't have food, still don't steal. Go over to some people and ask for food. They'll give you." Now, how do we put together these two truths? This is like a contradiction. Okay, here I'm coming to the title of this week's Pasha, Pashas of Vayetze. We see Yaakov was dreaming. He had a dream. And in that dream, there's a whole story how he saw Malocham Oilim v'yodim boi. And then Hashem spoke to him. It's all in a dream. Now in a dream, a lot of things that are not real come into reality. People see things, time and space doesn't exist anymore, and they see things that are not even real, they see it as real. So there's a big thing about dreams. When people dream, there's a very strong thing about bringing things together, things that are not real, two truths together. So one more thing you have to remember, sometimes you're sleeping and you think you're not productive, because who's productive when they sleep? They snore, right? Remember, even if you sleep, you have some high dreams. And things that don't look, they come together. Keep on dreaming. Good dreams, everybody.
I'm going to teach you today how to give a proper hug. Seriously? You don't know how to give a hug? Don't know how to give a hug? Fine, I'll teach you. You know that awkward moment when you lean in and it's it goes from side to side. You don't know which way to go first. Okay, this is the proper way to do it. You lean to the right and then you go heart to heart. You know the Heilige Reb Shlomo? Reb Shlomo. He used to give a hug, a really tight hug. And he used to add to it. He used to lean his head to the other person's head. Like that he adds the moyach and the lev.
And now I want to welcome Reb Sammy and Trader, very close friend with Reb Shlomo, a big Talmud of him. We had last night a beautiful kumzitz, and he blew us out. He blew us out.
You blew me away, guys. Come on. It was the energy that you guys had was just so out of this world. I travel far and wide to meet neshumas that are so connected. It was a chus to be with you guys. Really, keep on learning, keep on doing it. The world needs it. The world needs what you're offering more than anything else right now.
Thank you. Let me ask you, Reb Sammy, how did you find Reb Shlomo? What was the first impression that you saw in Reb Shlomo? What was your first meeting with Reb Shlomo?
I can talk for 5 hours about that, so I'm just going to make it short because I know we're limited on time. But it was, you ever heard of BJ? It's a shul in Manhattan. It was an old conservative shul called B'nai Jeshurun, and he did Purim night there. And in those days, in the 70s, there weren't that many Purim programs all over the world, all over New York. There were maybe 10, 5, whatever. So when he did Purim, he was mamash. He had hundreds, thousands of people were there. And the rabbi was a very establishment conservative rabbi, William Berkowitz, Aziz Yid, but he would ask Shlomo paragraph-long questions about the deepest things in the world. And Shlomo would say, Rabbi Berkowitz, you always ask me the deepest questions in the world. L'chaim, l'chaim. He'd bring in his flavor. And eventually he went on to answer the question. It took him a while, but in his own way he answered the question. But I was reading Martin Buber, and I was struggling with I and thou. Who am I? Who is thou? Wer weißt du? And what can I tell you guys? That night I discovered I, thou. I told you there were 5,000 people maybe in the shul. Shlomo talked to me. I saw the world of my great grandfather, my great Bubba, Elta Bubba, and I saw the world of my great grandchildren, and I saw both of those worlds with such comfort. He spoke with such Warmkeit and such Yiddishkeit and such progressiveness and such openness to the world that I saw there's no stira. These two worlds are not in contradiction at all. And that night I was hooked, and the rest is history.
That was with Shlomo. Shlomo was always so connected with every person. Everybody felt that he's their best friend. And he had like thousands of best friends.
Mamash, maybe more even. Over the years.
Can you tell us what was your highest moment with Shlomo?
That's a hard question because they were all infinitely high, and I can speak about any one. I'll just say a few that come to mind that were just like beyond. First of all, Poland was, like I think I told you, he said after Poland that if Mashiach didn't come then, it was a little bit his loss. Because Poland was Yid, Goyim, everybody was together. It was Mamash Mashiach moment. It was like the whole world could have fit into that we were in little theaters, and it was a mix of every expression. I mean, you have to understand, these are old anti-Semitin. And verbissen anti-Semitin. And you have to understand that their grandchildren discovered they were Jewish. So the inner wrenching, we think we have inner struggles. Here they're raised with anti-Semitism, and here they find out they have a Yiddish. They just found out. Solidarity was just coming in then. Elta Bubba was Yiddish, and my God, it just shook their worlds. I'll never forget, there was one kid, I'm going off subject, forgive me. There was one kid who was told by the Jewish community he's not Jewish. He had no proof he's Jewish. This kid, in a country that was poverty-stricken, only ate vegetarian food because he didn't want to eat treif. In a country where unemployment was 20-30%, he got himself a job. We wouldn't have to work on Shabbos. He taught himself phonetically the Shema. He taught him a few things. Well, he went around saying all day long with Shema Yisrael. And he didn't know if he was a Jew, Lahalucha. I always said to myself, I wish I would be a fraction of a Jew like he was. So these are the kind of neshumas that Shlomo picked up. And he was like duvik in him day and night, just watching him with this kid alone. But in Poland, they were like, it was such a coming together. You saw, after I came back from Poland, I'm not like Reb Shlomo hugging and kissing every second. I went into my office, which is a straight government office, and I started hugging and kissing everybody. I just couldn't stop. It was a Mashiach moment, Wow. And Russia, and of course, davening with him by the Koisel, there's nothing like being with him by the Koisel. I don't have time to tell it to you now, some other time we'll talk about it. I took a walk with him once from the top of the stairway to the bottom of the stairway in the Koisel. And the amount of Yidden he met and the amount of experiences that happened, I can be a Yid from that my whole life alone. I wish I could tell you the story, but there isn't enough time right now. But they were all, with Reb Shlomo, every moment is the highest moment. That's the godless Reb Shlomo. It's an Ishbitz Yisoid. Every moment you're living in that moment can take you to the highest, most transcendent place. So yeah, I can tell you 5'10", but that's not doing fairness to the godless and the infiniteness of who he was.
I like that answer better than if you would have one answer.
I'm always wondering, there's millions of conservative people, people who are not religious. There's a plan. Hashem has a plan. How are we going to get them together? So I'm just throwing it in there. There's reform, millions of Reformed Jews. They're not Reformed. Their parents were Reformed.
This is the Nekesh.
We need Reb Shlomo.
We need you guys. We need all the Chevra to right now, Mamish, follow his way. I tell you, I always say, the branches of Judaism, we're so stuck on the branches of Judaism, forgive me, we forget our common roots. And Mamish, there has to be, we're shooting for the lowest common denominator. The only way to bring those Yidden in is to find the highest common denominator. The lowest common denominator is not going to do it. I always say to myself, the Arba Uvas Nezikin are the four primary damages, right? Are the four Jewish denominations. And Atzad Shuvah Shebehen, what they all have in common, only have one thing in common these denominations do, Shadarkan Lahazik. And that is that they're fighting with each other, causing damage to each other. We have to find the commonality in Yiddishkeit. And Reb Shlomo used to go all over, and I go to these kind of places. These people are open for Yiddishkeit. They're hungry for it. In a second, you tell them over Reb Nachman Torah, Reb Shlomo Torah, Ishbitzer Torah. They understand it deeper than we do because they're out in the world. And these Rebbes, the Meir Shloyach wrote for a future generation. The Meir Shloyach didn't have the Ishbitzer in his time, the kind of issues that we have right now. But he wrote for our generation. I always say he wrote for Shlomo. He was like Shlomo's script, so to speak. So I think the Yesodis are there. And you're right, when we talk in the car, you have an achrayus to go out there. Because Baruch Hu put us in this place for a reason.
The open-minded people.
We have an obligation, because open-minded does not mean I'm open-minded, I'm not from Chas V'Shalom. Open-minded, I'm open to everything, and it's all part of our Kodesh Baruch Hu's plan, as you said. That's Rav Kook. Rav Kook is phenomenal in that, is that everything that's happening in the world right now is from our Kodesh Baruch Hu, and no one can deny that. The most far right, Rav can't deny that. And there's a reason for it, and there's a challenge in it, there's a tikkun in it. And we have an obligation to sort of, who can see the synthesis, who danced on both weddings, have to bring these two chasanas together, you know?
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank
Amazing.
you so much.
Thank you.
For coming.
Thank you.
One more question though. All right, Sammy. I look at you, you look positive, amazing, happy, calm, relaxed. How do you do it? Tell us something that we could take home. How to stay positive and happy all the time.
You know, it's first of all, there's nothing like learning Hasidus. I mean, you know, sometimes people see Hasidim in the street and they don't have that same image, sadly enough. A woman said to me once, says, Rabbi, why does every rabbi have such a sad look? And why aren't they smiling like you? And you know, the truth is that hanging out with Reb Shlomo was so infusive, but looking at you guys and seeing the smiles on your faces from the second I walked in last night until this second, the truth is we all have it in us. Chassidus brings it out. Chassidus brings out that positive message. Chassidus is it's the best kept secret. Behind the long black robe Bekeshe is a very modern, universalistic hashkufa that can talk to the whole world. And for myself, learning Chassidus, having a Chassidic vertical, hearing Reb Shlomo Torah just takes me there, and it just does not let me go to that place. You know, it holds you back. You see, there's infinite Torahs. Arla Kalina said something so beautiful. Arla Kalina said, nowhere in the Torah does it say that Atzvus is an Aveira, and nowhere in the Torah does it say, with all due respect to Nachman's take on this, that Simcha is a mitzvah. I mean, mitzvah gedolos, but Simcha is a gewalt nigga. Okay, very good. I'll get to that in a minute. I get that in a minute. I'll get to that in a minute. But nowhere does it say that. That's why Chasam the worst comes. But it doesn't say outright that there's an obligation for us to program a simcha.
I understand what you're saying.
So Ar Kalina said a Gewalt Yisoid. He said it's true, but the source of all the averas is atzvus, and the source of all the mitzvahs is simcha.
Wow.
You know? And that's so on button, you know. It's in a most practical, real way. If you're besimcha, you can go out. You're happy. You're gonna hug people. You're gonna talk to people. Your mind is open. You're beyond yourself. It's something is going on in you. And if you're broken, everything is negative. Everything is. I mean, this morning I had some terrible nisyonis, and just I this whole weekend I had this happen to me like 5 times. It's a lesson that I just want to share. I just relearned it again this weekend. Mamish, each time when I'm mamish giving up, I have to reach the stage of getting up. Last night we couldn't get in to pick up my luggage. We could not get in to pick up our luggage. And I said to myself, I have to give up because we're not going to get in if I don't give up. And I couldn't give up because I said, he'll still find something. And then he tried every window and he said, forget it. I said, oh my God, I can't go to sleep with all my things. How am I going to get into the house? I gave up. The second I gave up, he found an open window. You know, and it's been happening a whole weekend. Today, this morning, when I was talking on the phone with somebody, a whole terrible thing happened. Whatever, now it's all good. And I gave up. I said, it's impossible. And in that moment, so teretz is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not want us to give up. You know, it's usulis yayish. You know, you're not allowed to be miyayish. It's the whole of Nachman. You saw it. You never give up. And when you reach that moment, it's like you're really reaching into the deepest part of you, and that's when something happens beyond your, you know. And sometimes, to be honest, you can't fake that. You know, it has to be a real feeling of, oh, this is impossible. Because when you give up, what are you doing? You're really davening. Right. That moment you're yearning because you haven't really given up. But right. you say, I so need this. And that's the tefillah Kodesh Baruch Hu hears. So Kodesh Baruch Hu should bless us. We should be able, davening is where it's at, right? You know, because the truth is we're davening every second. You're not just davening when you open the siddur. Right now, we're yearning, we're wanting every minute. That's the essence of tefillah. Heilige Baal Shem Tov said that he says, after I finish davening, it's a ness that my neshama and my gift are still connected. Because davening has to be with that kind of. Reb Shlomo's whole koiches was to put koiches into davening, to mamash wake us up.
At kalis and
It has to be that way, because that's when you come to that level of yearning that you're I forgot what Rebbe said. When I daven, I'm talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when I learn, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is talking to me. And I'd say it's so important to learn tefillah. We're learning everything. Shosh Nogach HaSapura, the laws of an ox goring a cow, it's very important. But how many times do you encounter that in life? But how many times do you encounter in life all the tefillahs, all the rituals, from washing our hands from Natilas Yadayim, from eating a moitzi? I'll tell you one Gevalt Torah L'Kuv Erev Shabbos Kodesh. Shlomo said from either the Baal Shem Tov or can't think of the name of the other Rebbe. I think he said it over in both of them. HaMoitzi Lechem Min Ha'uretz. Right? What does it mean? He said Lechem is the root word Milchama. Right? It's the same root word as Milchama. HaMoitzi Lechem Min Ha'uretz. I want to take war out of the world. You know why the world is fighting? Because you're saying this is your loaf of bread. You're saying it's your loaf of bread. I'm saying it's my loaf of bread. Friday night when we break bread together, we say, how do I take war out of the world? By sharing the bread together. Wow. And it's in that moment, I'll just add a few quick things, because lechem is also, you probably know this, it's toilets, I guess, I'm sure everybody says, lechem is also the same letters as machal. And how do you take war out of the world? By having compassion.
If
by
you
being
have to yield to it, it's l'chaim.
L'chaim, very good. Gewalt Torah.
Yeah, the knee, and it's not on the Vam.
But let me stay with the oisias. Here the oisias. It's chamal, compassion. You have to have compassion for another yid. It's machal. You have to be able to forgive another person. It's chaloim. It's to dream. You have to be able to dream of a time of peace.
I have a dream.
You need to never give up on that dream. Never give up on that dream. So it's a very practical thing, but the process, what we need to do to take lechem out of the world, is we have to be able to be moichel another person. We have to feel the compassion of another person. We have to dream of being able to make that connection. And it's also, if I have it right, it's melech, it's salt. You have to add salt to make sure that it
bring out the flavor.
To bring out flavor, and to make sure you never lose it. Salt seasons it, right. Because it can't just be a fleeting moment. And before I met Reb Shlomo, I never understood when he asked me. He said, "How was Shabbos? How was Shabbos? Shabbos was like Shabbos." But having spent one Shabbos with him, I began to understand that question, because every Shabbos is a different Shabbos, and every Shabbos has to be something that just blows you away. It's Yom Shekil Manicha. It's a taste of Mashiach. I'll leave you guys with this one. He said that he heard from a Babaver Chussid, the Rebbe Tzim Babaver, davened in his shul together with this young man who told the story when he was an older man for 20 years. He says every Shabbos Rebbe Tzim walked in to the Bes Medrash, he was a different person. Couldn't recognize him from the week before. And that's the way Shabbos has to be.
I just want to add, you guys, Rabbi Sammy is going to be a Shabbos Chanukah in Muncie. With God willing, here in Muncie, and we're going to be teaching us, the teachers of Shlomo, Toyos HaMashiach, how to apply it in your life. Don't miss it. More information will be explained in the next shows. Stay tuned.